Okay, everybody, today we're going to finish up the AT-RT. You can come in here on the close cam and see where I have already finished the AT-RT. We're really just going to finish off the rider and get him painted up today. So I did this in olive drab, right? And then I went back over it with a dark brown wash. Okay. I also did the two weapons, additional weapons, in a magnetized. And so we're going to start off with a light dry brush of the gunmetal gray. It's just enough to bring out some of the highlights and make the AT-RT look a little weathered, right? Get this mixed up. I'm going to show you kind of how I do my dry brush when I'm using my palette. Okay, so we're just going to put a tiny bit. All right, put him over here. I'm going to go in with my small dry brush. We're going to do this. I'm going to start on the feet, since those will be the most worn and scraped up. That way, you can come over here to this side and get this even drier, and then just start in on the joints. Side here, antennas. You can see I'm doing the AT-RT vehicle first before I do the rider. That way I won't get anything on the rider, and I can just concentrate on his colors. And we're going to go through the colors here I'm going to use. I thought I'd share how I'm doing my dry brush with this, so I'm not using the paper towel technique, right? So this is working really well. All right, you can see that, how good that works. All the raised areas, make sure I get this antenna array down on top of where he is sitting, where he touches the controls, and it's gotten worn. And make sure we're getting our weapon underneath. It's working good right there. Perfect. I'm going to shot just a little bit here for you guys, kind of get you to see what that's done for us. And do the weapons, these auxiliary weapons, a little bit. Perfect. Do this one. Yeah, started with the black base coat, as you can see, and then just did a brush. I actually used this brush to do this US Field drab. Right, US Field drab. And that's all she wrote. That's all we need. I'm gonna go back out on our shot again. Clean the brush. Clean the brush, clean the brush. And let's get started now. This is the array of colors I'm going to be using. Pretty much 6 colors. And I wanted to introduce this Prussian blue. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do his jacket with the Prussian blue. Well, the vest. It's like a vest, right? Yeah, it's kind of like a short sleeve vest, right? And I wanted to go in with the pants with this German field gray. German field gray. So we can contrast with the RTST color so that it differentiates. And then his sleeves of his jacket, we'll do khaki. And then I got this out. We'll probably use this color, the red leather, on the points of his hat. And I got leather brown in case I find something else I want to touch up with leather brown. And then of course the boots, I'm going to keep those black. But you can see I got some of the dry brush, some of the other paint on there, so I'll have to offset that with some touch up with some black. So let's go in right away with this German field gray. Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. And put them in the pot. The top. Why not paint? Got a little bit of a clog, so I got a little trick that I do. A little tool I keep handy. Let's see if that's going to be too runny. This is a newer pot. Paint. There it goes. Can you hear that sinker in there now? Here. Tick, 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 tick. Let's go ahead and give that a stir with our stir stick. I'm going to try it, see if it's too thin. That is the color we're going for, though. It's not too bad. We'll do that. He's got like, I guess what you would call gaiters above his boots. We'll probably go in like his sleeves of his shirt. We'll do in khaki, and then we'll do the gaiter in khaki also. It's a little on the thin side, but you know what? With this black base coat, it really kind of gives it a nice effect. It's like the black's coming through just a little bit. Like I said, the biggest thing is you don't want your paints too thick. It's one thing to have them a little too thin if they're not running all over the place. Right? Get that back side here. Some of the stuff we can just leave black, like those little pouches, little things like that. You can kind of see it almost gives it almost like a camo effect. Pretty cool, actually. We'll let that dry. I think what I'm going to do, since his shirt, his jacket, or his, yeah, it's almost like a vest is partially open, we're going to go, I think the next color I'm going to go in with is the khaki. Go in with the khaki. So let's get our field bag put away in our dark wash and grab my khaki. Get that mixed up. Done with the gunmetal. Get that put away. I told you one of my new things. I'm going to try to keep my paints put away instead of letting them build up on the table. He's been sitting for a while. Let's see where we're at on this, guys. Yeah, see, some of these have been sitting for a while. I haven't used this khaki probably for a couple months. I'll go in with my, it's just a mini screwdriver, like what you'd use on eyeglasses. Pretty handy little tool for combating clogs. There we go. Just a little dab will do ya. Let's check that consistency out. Oh, it looks good. The other thing I'm trying to work on, guys, is not putting out too much paint. This is one of my bad habits. So let's get like his shirt. Do that with khaki. It's almost like a thin hoodie, right? Because he's got this hood I'm going to get. And around his neck where I got some flesh, right? Perfect consistency right here. Come right in. Again, I'm using my regiment brush up here around his neck. Remember, we'll be going in with a wash, just a regular brown wash. And we'll get into all those little nooks and crannies. Like so. Come under the arm. Like that. See if I can go on the shot for you just a little bit here, guys, so you can see that. And I'll just keep them upside down and go ahead and get in this other arm here. But I wanted to start adding in some color. Got some more rebels coming, so we can build out my force, so we have a decent force to play with here in the studio. Alright, it's all about the angles, guys. Getting on those angles. Just keep turning the model until you can get a good angle on your brush. Right, inside a little bit here. Go to the top, looking down, get right in that little nook. Up here by the shoulder, little spot down by the neck. Right. A little bit more on this elbow. And then, like I said, the gaiters. I'm going to hit those gaiters right above the boots. All right. And give you some good, really good color contrast here too, right? Like so. And that should be good. Make sure there's nothing I missed. A little bit more khaki there. Just turn him and turn him and turn him. Try to get some different angles. Yeah, the pants are going to look cool. Now, oops, I almost forgot the inside of his shirt. He's got right here. I'll have to do some twisting and turning and using very little paint on my brush. Just a tiny bit. That'll give you more control. So you want to turn him. Get down in that nook. On up to the hood. Oh, off camera, sorry guys. I'm going to go back a little bit. You always want to do the deeper colors. Well, I guess that's a bad way of wording it. So like my shirt, then my coat, then my gloves. You know, kind of start in and work your way out. If that makes sense. Anyways, that's kind of how I've been doing it all these years. There's some more little places near the hood. Another little spot I missed there. Alright, that looks good. You can see what I was going after there, see? Alright, got the spats, got that hood. Right. Probably this backpack guy is probably just gonna leave it black and just go in with a almost like a more of a bolt gun metal. I don't know. I'll have to decide on that while I'm finishing the rest of this up. Yeah. That's what it's about. I mean, you just kind of, as you go along, figure it out. Let's go ahead and get our khaki off the brush. I still have too much paint. And just a bad habit. Let's go in with this dark Prussian. One of my favorite colors, shades of blue. How about a Fresca? All right, let's go in with this Prussian blue. Here's my rat shaker. That's what you want to hear. A tiny little bit. Ever squeeze it and just goes, and a bunch comes out. Hate that. All right, let's go in with this color. I've been looking forward to experimenting with some a little bit more bold colors. Not really bold, but just something. You can still do some earth tones, like we have with the green. And the khaki. So you get that strap right there. I got to get around that. You probably even do something a blue that's even brighter than this. It's all part of the experimentation process, guys. Nothing's really carved in stone here, and it's up to artistic license. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. Right, keep twisting and turning him. You get those angles. I could come in with like a little bit of royal blue and hit all the high spots on the folds on the jacket, and that would give it really give it some pop, some bling. Right. Twisting him and turning him. I get comments sometimes, guys just getting into this hobby. What color should I use on this? There's a lot of other painting videos out there, guys. Zoroaster's is one of my favorites, and he really can get more into detail. But it's just, you got to do it, right? You just got to start doing it. You got to start building and painting, and just, you know, learn along the way. There's no carved in stone right way or wrong way. It's just you paint it up and you sit back and you look at it and you say, wow, I really like how that turned out. Or you say, you know what, next time I do that, I'm going to do something a little different. Some of my old videos, I'd put some of the minis I painted 15-20 years ago that I'm at some point going to redo. It's a Crusader army I did years and years ago, and I look at them today and I'm like, oh my gosh, those are awful. But like I said, I'm going to redo them. At some point I'm going to repaint them, I'm going to rebase them. It won't take a real full-blown paint job. I'll just do some wash. Like, yeah, there was a time where I didn't even put washes on my minis. Right? Get a different angle on that. And get up underneath that arm. That'll work. So this tabletop standard It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to come in with a wash and some of that stuff no one will ever see. All right. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. It really gets that color contrast going. All right. Rinse out the brush. And we're going to go in with our red leather. A little sinker break loose. Another little dab. As I'm going to use this color on the tops of his hat. A bubble there. His cap. Perfect this thickness. It's a little on the thin side, so it's like letting that black base coat come in. And I'm resting my hands on the top of the table, and what that's going to do for me is it is giving me stability to get into these little nooks and crannies. You can see how that is going to be a good contrast color. Got a little bit on his hood. I'll clean that up. I'll show you how to fix that in just a second. So I got just a little bit on the hood. Put a little bit of this on his visor, or his, yeah, almost like the sun visor, like on a baseball cap. And give some nice contrast. Right behind the base of his helmet. Right. Some of that I'm going to have to clean up when I get out the black. Like I said, this is the thing, you can't always get it perfect. But what you do when you go back in for your touch-up round, then you'll be good. Hit the very top of his cap again. And here's what I'm going to do with that faux paw. And got my khaki is totally not dry yet, so I'm going to just go back in while it's still on the palette and just touch up that little spot. Just like so. You can see that. All the different contrasting colors. Take a look at the model again. And make a decision about his gloves. I want to leave them black because we need that contrast between the gun and the gloves. So probably I come in with the leather. I need a tiny little bit, so I'll just use what I've got. Let's see how this is going to work. Like so. I'll come back in with a little bit lighter brown. Just do some highlights on these gloves just to break up the solid color. I'm going to show you how I'll do that here in a little bit. Fingers. Way up to the rifle. And the fingers a little bit better. Yeah. Now let's touch up those boots really quick with some black. Just a little tiny bit. Let's go in and hit those boots. And that'll give that contrast between the foot pedal and his foot. And the other one. The other boot. And then there was a couple spots on the hat that I goofed on. We'll go back in and clean those up. A little spot. Like so. Okay, I'm not gonna touch up the gun and the pack until I do my wash. And we'll come back in with some almost like a bolt gun metal and hit all these little doodads on his backpack to highlight them. Do another once over, see if I'm missing anything with the black. All right. Paint dries nice and quick. Now, upon our straight up brown wash, you'll see that it gets sediment on the bottom. And I just keep shaking it till that sediment's gone and mixed. So, hope everybody's week is going well. I'm getting closer to Christmas. Put this out on our palette. Not a whole lot. And then my small dry brush. I'm going to use a paper towel so I don't get splats all over my nice blue mat here. Looks like everything's dry enough. I'll try to avoid his face because I will use a flesh tone wash on his face. So I kind of just want to hit his jacket. Up around the hood, like his gloves. Top of his hat. And I'll blow it into the crevices where I want it. Right. One of my little tricks. That's nice. And I'll let that dry good, and then I'll bring you back to do some highlighting. All right, folks, the wash is dried up good. You can see here what you're going after. Pretty much got enough light on him. You can see how well that dried up. Now, I'm not super happy with how this turned out. I think I did a little too heavy a dry brushing, and I think this is a little too dark. I don't like how dark it is. So I probably shouldn't have used a dark wash. I probably should have used a medium or the light wash. So I've got a trick I'm going to do to kind of brighten that up just a little bit and to hide some of this. It's almost over dry brushed with the metallics. I'm not worried as much about the feet because when I base this, I'm going to base this with a sand and then a little bit of grasses, tall grasses, and I'm going to put some mud effects on the feet. right? So I'm not really worried about that. Some sandy mud effects. Let's see if I can show you that here, what I like to use. Vallejo also makes a line of pigments. These are like powder, and I put them in one of my palettes here, and add a little water with my dropper. Gotta have one of these guys. Invaluable. And so I'm going to show you the where I'm headed with this and what we're going to do. Now, the other thing I do is, since I've got a dark blue vest, I'm going to come in and just hit the high spots with a little royal blue just to brighten it up. We're going to start off with the flesh tone shade. This is my go-to. I love to use my well, it's called Buff, right? I use that for pretty much all my flesh, and then I use a flesh tone shade which will bring out those reddish hues. And then, since I used a German field gray, which is more like almost like a green, I'm going to go in and hit the high spots with a German uniform, which is another brighter shade of green. And since I did the khaki on the shirt and the hoodie, so to speak, I'm going to go in and just hit some of the high spots with a little bit of tan yellow. And we're going to surprise, and I'll stay to the end because I'm going to show you a little surprise what we're going to do to this ATRT. So I shook everything up. Should start doing that before I start on a video for you guys. I try to get everything shaken up as best I could. Now let's go in with this red shade. I'm going to show you how I like to use this. Just a tiny bit, right? And then I'm going to go with my brush, and I'm going to hit his face and his neck. Back of his neck. And I'm going to blow on it to get into the recesses good. And you can see that really gets it just right. And once that dries, it's going to look great. Let's go ahead and clean that off. And I'm going to go in with my blue. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to use the same, just a teeny little dab. Little dab will do you. Go in, trail out my brush. I'm going to come in. I'm going to hit all the high spots, like where the sunlight would hit. And don't forget that this will dry darker. So where the folds are, kind of higher. Let's go in on the shot so I can kind of try to get an idea of what I'm doing here. Now it's going to really stand out until it dries. So there's a high spot, there's a high spot. There's a high spot. And I really want this to bolden up this whole jacket, right? It's starting to dry. Make sure I'm staying in the shot here. Sorry, guys. Yeah, really liking that. I would probably, if I was to do that technique over again, guys, I would just go in with this royal blue because it's such an amazing color. Because it really, once you put the wash, onto this vest, it's too dark. It almost makes it look almost like a black, which is really what Prussian blue was. It's a very dark blue. So I'd probably go in next time. I would recommend going in with a lighter blue. So I'm probably going to be a little bit more aggressive with my highlighting on this. And as it dries, it darkens. It's not as fluorescent as on the camera, I promise you. Right? It really stands out on that camera. So let's go back on the shot. Clean our brush. We're going with our green, German green, uniform green, German uniform. Again, another little dab. It's got some gray, green, whole kind of thing going on. So it should really complement this other color. So I'm going to go in with like the pockets, tops of the pockets, tops of the folds. Remember, this is after the wash phase. Give you an idea what I'm going for there. And now the vest really looks like, I don't know if the camera's capturing good. To my eye, it looks like it was a nice, bolder blue color, yet it's gotten dirty and soiled. And then here are the tops of the pocket. Tops of the folds of the pants. Down along the cuffs. You can kind of see what it's doing there. The face is drying really good. Get this up closer so I can see some of what we're dealing with here. Okay. Now, clean that off. Now we're going to go in. It's like a revolver. And notice how I kind of keep this over my tan yellow. Actually, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to get rid of this, because I think this gives you a better contrast. Right? Better contrast. All right, I'm happy with that. I really, one thing I've noticed when I've painted minis over all these years is the whole contrasting colors is really important. It really makes the mini pop, especially that royal blue. It's something different, and it really makes the mini pop, right? Now I'm going with this tan yellow. I'm going to do just a tiny little dab. And we got another little clog going on here. So we'll clean that out. I use that tool for years, it works great. Just a tiny little dab right there. In the meantime, a little trailing here. See how I draw it out, so it loads the tip. I don't end up with a big blob of paint on the tip. I'm going to come in just like I've been doing, guys. I'm going to hit the high folds, tops of his hoodie. Remember, this will darken as it dries. It's going to seem a lot bolder at first, especially once we put our protective top coat on, which is a flat coat. You kind of want to keep in mind, as an artiste, you are looking to capture the sun, so some of this lighter stuff is catching the light. And it really adds that depth. Okay, now I'll show you one of the little tricks I'm going to do here. I'm going to clean my Regiment brush. Make sure she's clean, which she is. Now we're going to do my little trick. I'm going to lighten this model up. I'm going to go over to this. I'm going to come in very, very lightly. Hardly any pressure. I'm just lightly pressing on this. So we'll still get some of the metal effect coming through. Oh, I'm liking that already, guys. Kind of just hitting the tops. So it's going to add another layer of highlights right on the very edges. All right. Effectively, it's going to brighten this whole model up. Right? Even go on the backpack just a little bit, kind of brighten that up just a little bit on the top of the gun. Bring out those details on the gun. And then we're going to come in with a little bit of, almost like a bolt gun metal. I want to do another little dab, teeny little dab, tiny little dab, tiny. I'm really liking that effect. Right. Up the very top where the sunlight would hit. I'm coming in with a little bit bolder dry brush. And remember, it is going to darken as it dries. See what I'm doing there, guys? I'm really picking up those edge lines and giving that nice light dark contrast is what we're going for. And this is it's part of the creative process, guys. While I was waiting for those other colors to dry, I got to looking and I was like, you know what, this thing's just too dark. Too dark. I need to lighten it up. It's going to look so much better on the tabletop. Oh yeah, that is looking good. I really like that. That's really improved it. Let me get these fins on the side a little bit. Lighten those up some. Just the tops of his knuckles. See what I did there? I just barely skimmed the tops of the knuckles. See that one? See those knuckles? Just barely, barely. And you can see there's a little bit of bare metal poking through, but not overpoweringly. And you can see how his face dried. Focus, focus, focus. And see how his face dried. I'm not into doing the lips and the eyes. Something I'm seeing here is I'm going to hit just the inside of his glove there. I'll show you what I just did. I just lighten that up just a little bit. Right? Just a little glint of metal coming through. It's all about the layering, and you can see how much better that looks with the royal blue. Now something I'm considering. Let's rinse this baby out. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with this. Is that damn that Prussian blue is just, it's just too dark, man. It's almost black. So I'm going to go in, be a little bit more aggressive with this royal blue. I'm very lightly applying pressure with this regiment brush. Because I really like that that boldness. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with it because I'm really liking that effect. Alright, you see that backpack, I really kind of lightened it up. And oh yeah, that's really popping to me. That's really giving it a nice pop. Alright, so it's not so monotone. Now we're going to go in. We're not going to do silver. We're going to do natural steel. Get back on the shot. And I'm going to show you the difference between gunmetal gray and natural steel. How much lighter it is. And we're going to pick out some of the details, like on the backpack. Various spots on the gun. Just a tiny little dab. Well, I go in. I'm not watering it down any. I'm going to keep it nice and thick, and I'm going to go in and pick out just little doodads on his backpack. The tops of the antenna. And coming in, I'm going to see like little doodads on the back here. Right here. Rifle. Very lightly. You got a scope. Very lightly dragging my brush across the blaster. Now, watching the early Star Wars movies, like I have the last couple days, I notice a lot of the blasters, especially Han Solo's blaster, they've got a lot of silver tip guns. Right? Just picking out little raised details on the rifle just to make them stand out. Looks like a pump action shotgun, isn't it? I'm going to come here, I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to very lightly hit the very fronts of the gun barrels. Hit this gun barrel. Just to, again, bring out some contrast. Just to bring out some contrast. Keep in mind, everything dries darker. It's going to seem very bold at first, especially when once we get our protective top coat on. Just little buttons and fixtures. You know what I'm saying? Just little details. This is actually one of my favorite parts. Is picking out the little details. The ends of his throttle, his controller. He's got a little doodad up there by his leg. This will bring out some highlights. I've been doing this since my early 40K days when I sucked at painting. And I'm certainly not the best. Zoroaster, guys, he's one of the best out there. He extremely talented. Little doodad, little doodad. These are the kind of things that I think even though this is tabletop standard, this is a more unique unit. Even when I do my weathering, when I do my basing, this stuff's still going to stand out. So you can kind of see where I'm going with all this. You see his face, etc. All right, guys, I think that's a wrap on this Mini. I'm getting low on this camera's battery, my Sony, and we'll get up tomorrow. I'm going to work on my basing, and this guy will be ready to be top coated. And next video to look out for, guys, is we're going to finish these babies up. Right, we're going to get these babies up so I can get a battle excerpt up for you guys and get this shit going on. Thanks for coming along for the behind the scenes look here at the Alan Smith studio and the way I'm rolling and the way I'm working. Hit like, hit subscribe, get on my Facebook group, Alan Smith Hobby and War Games, and whenever I put posts up, just slam on the like button, like, because that helps everything grow and flourish and brings you more great content. Well, as good a content as I can provide. Thanks for coming along for the ride today, guys. Again, see you next time. Ciao!